guys, what is up? My name is Josh, or you may know me as DodaTech. Today we're doing another computer build. So, client called me up and he just wanted a home use computer. He wants to run a few low powered programs, and yeah, we designed a computer around that. We spoke for about an hour and a half. And yeah, so we got him some components. So for the CPU, we went with the Intel Pentium G3258. This is Intel's Anniversary Edition processor, and it's also overclockable. We're probably not going to be doing that since we're just going to be using the stock cooler, but this is a very nice CPU. For RAM, we're using Kingston HyperX Fury. This is 8 GB of 1866 MHz RAM. And it's targeted at gamers, but this was one of the cheapest kits we could find, so we just went with that. For storage, we went with a Western Digital 1 TB blue. Very fast drive, 7200 RPM, and it's going to be great. For the motherboard, went with the Asus H81M-Plus. This board also got shipped to me, and it's got a puncture mark in it, in the box. I've looked at the board, it looks okay, but if it doesn't boot, that's probably why. So we're hoping here. For a power supply, it's the same one we used in the last video, or video series, I should say. It's a Thermaltake Light Power 500 watt OEM. It actually says on it that it's a 450 watt power supply, but it's a... hold on. No, that was the one we used in the last video. It's almost the exact same power supply, except the one we used in the last video was a 450 watt with a max output or a peak output of 500 watts. This one claims to be 500 watts the whole time, so we'll see. We also went with a TP-Link, what is the model number on this? TLWN881ND. This is a 300 megabits per second wireless N PCI Express adapter. The customer wanted Wi-Fi, so we went with that. We went with Windows 7 Home Premium, 64-bit, as well as a standard $20 DVD burner. So yeah, got the case. The case is the Bitfenix Prodigy M. So Bitfenix does two lineups of the Prodigy. There's the Prodigy, the standard Prodigy, which takes a mATX board, which is a smaller board than what we've got here, and the Prodigy M that takes an mATX board. The mATX case is a little more difficult to work in, so if you're wanting this case for your first build, probably not the best case to choose, but it is a very nice case. Yeah, so I suppose we should start by opening up the case and seeing what's inside. So, by the way, standard Phillips number 2 screwdriver. I've got a nice ratcheting one here that you can change the bits on. Probably the only tool you're going to need, that and a knife to unbox stuff. You might need scissors, you might need other screwdrivers, stuff like that, but at the bare minimum you'll need these two tools. So we're going to take out the thumb screws here, which are actually very nice. These are the nicest thumb screws I've seen in a very long time. Now, I've already inspected this case for damage, so I've opened it up and had a look, and I've noticed that the side panels are a little difficult to get off because of the I/O connectors on this case, which are on the side panel. So this one, not as hard, you just kind of move it back and sort of pull it off. It's a little difficult, sometimes you have to move it forward a little bit. But eventually it comes off. So, like that. Now, you want to set these in the case box with the styrofoam in between them. So I'm just going to set these over here. They're very heavy side panels as well, which is always a good sign. It means high quality, usually. But yeah, I've just brought the box over, and we're going to take the I/O side panel off as well. This one's a little harder to take off. Come on. Like I said, they're kind of difficult to get off. There we are, got the second one off. And yeah, so this has got all your I/O on it, and we'll get to that later. Like I said, you want to sit them in the box with the styrofoam between them. And straight away, when you look in the case, we get this box of hardware. So in here we've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 6 zip ties, all your case mounting hardware and screws, as well as a socket adapter, Phillips head to socket adapter for your standoffs, and a USB 3 to USB 2.0 adapter. This is very nice that they included that, since not all motherboards have USB 3. We're going to sit this over here for now. And next, there's this twist tie that we're going to take off. You never want to have twist ties in your system because they've got wire in them and they can short out against components and whatever, so you just want to chuck that away. And yeah, there's also another twist tie in here for a fan cable. We're going to leave that one on for the moment. And also one on the power supply cord, which we're also going to take off, just because we need the power supply cord to come out. So we're just going to chuck them in the box. Alright, now I said this was a difficult case to work in because it is very small. What we need to do is remove this drive cage. So there's 4 screws, one here, 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 and here, and we're going to remove them. But before we do that, we're just going to tidy up our work area, so I'm going to move some stuff behind me here. So we're not really going to need any of this for the moment. So I'm just going to move this all away. There we are. Sit it all back there. And now we're going to remove these screws that hold the drive cage in. Set my screwdriver to ratchet properly. Now these look like standard case screws, but they're a little smaller. Like the heads, they're a little smaller. So probably keep them, but keep these separate to all your other screws since they're probably different. Before you remove the last screw, make sure you take hold of the drive holder, just so it doesn't fall out on you. There we are, the drive holder's out, and so is the screw. Now we've got better access to our motherboard tray, and what we're going to do is, now that we've got more room, is remove these twist ties, from the fan wires. So if I can see which way it twists. There we are. Sometimes the most difficult part is getting the components ready and out of the box. So yeah. And for me, apparently it's getting zip ties off. Zip ties, twist ties, and also speaking is very difficult apparently. So yeah, we're just taking these twist ties off. And yeah, so we're ready to install some components. So if we look at the box of mounting hardware we've got, we'll see that we got these rubber washer things and these, if I can find them, hard drive screws. They look like closest thing to a hard drive screw. So what we're going to do is grab our hard drive, like I said, this is a Western Digital 1TB blue. We're going to open it up, slide the drive out. We've got the play desiccant, do not eat this. Apparently it's the only thing you shouldn't eat in this system, and we're going to set that, oh, I missed, whatever, back there. Make sure you don't touch the circuit board, you don't want to shock that. And yeah, so that's our drive. So we're going to mount the drive in the case, and you've got to kind of do some imagining. So in this case, this drive holder sits in like this. Actually, it goes on the inside, but it sits in like that. So we want to mount the drive so it's on the inside with the SATA connector. I'll show you the SATA connector. So that this SATA connector right here is on the front side of the case, so it's up front here. So basically the drive needs to go in this way. So we've got to do some imagining and find out where it's going to go. So it's going to sit like this, and we're probably going to want to use the bottom mounting mechanism. So what we want to do is grab the screws that are in question. I'm going to show you one of the screws here. This little round-headed screw with the coarse thread is the one I'm going to try. I don't know if I can show you that. Doesn't seem to be focusing, but I'm just going to try that inside the hard drive. So I'm just going to grab my screwdriver and see if it threads. Now you should be able to thread it with your hand if it's the right screw. So I'm not going to try that because my fingers are too big for the screw, so I'm just going to use the screwdriver. You should be able to insert it part the way and not be able to pull it out, but you should be able to unscrew it and screw it in with ease. And you shouldn't be able to push or pull the screw easily. So now we're going to put that rubber mount on the screw. Put the screw on the end of your screwdriver, and we're going to use the bottom mounts for this drive. So we're just going to put the rubber thing on the drive, stick the screw on the end of your screwdriver, and there's 4 holes on the bottom of the drive, so we're going to use 4 screws. Being careful to keep the rubber thing in place. And you just want to snug it up. Not too tight, not too loose. And yeah, so you want to grab 4 of these, since we have 4 drive holes. And I'm placing these with the bigger side down, so the bigger side of the rubber bit is down on the drive. It most likely won't matter which way it goes into the drive. If it does need to go another way, now I've done this wrong. I've squished the rubber thing a bit weird. So I'm just going to release it, move the rubber thing around, screw it back in, making sure the rubber bit doesn't get squished funny. Tighten it down. Just snug them up as best as you can. Once they stop turning, that's as far as you should go. You're not making it waterproof or airtight or anything like that. So we just want to grab 4 of these per drive and yeah, just install them. By the time you've tightened them down as far as they go, the screw head actually goes underneath, well, no, not underneath, inside the rubber bit. And yeah, so that's all 4 done. Now we just insert it into the larger holes of the drive tray, and I'll show you this here. Being sure to check which way you're placing it. So you see, here's the drive holder, here's the hard drive with the screws installed, as you may see. One of the rubber things has come off, and I don't know how. Apparently it fell off whilst I was... Alright, I think I might have put these screws in the wrong way. So we're gonna untie them and see if putting it in the other way with the smaller bit down helps that at all. Unless we're using the wrong screws, which there's no other screws to use, this should be fine. So I'm going to test this. That actually looks much better, but the bit still comes off. So I'm going to test and see if any other screws fit in the drive, which I don't think they do. No, it's those screws. Oh well, we're just going to push them on, I suppose. No, we're going to do it the other way, and we'll be right back. Alright guys, so I figured it out. What we had to do was put the rubber vibration isolators, which look like this. They're just little O-rings. We had to put them in the drive holder first. So what we're going to do is just sit this drive holder on top of the drive in the way we want it oriented. Like so. And this is the way I'm going to do it. If you can find an easier way, you do it your way, but I'm going to do it this way. And you want to tighten them down diagonally. So we're going to start with this top corner up here. If I can get the screwdriver lined up with the screw. And I can set the ratchet. So this provides tension on the rubber bit, so it doesn't pop out of the holder, but it also locks the drive in. So we're doing it, we're not tightening them down the whole way yet, just till they give a little bit of tension, and then we're doing all of them like that. You probably can't see because of my hands being in the way. Just tightening them down. Then once you've done the last one, you can snug them right up, like so. I can probably snug up a bit more. Yep. Snug them right up. It's probably a good idea to still go diagonally, guys, just so you don't put any unnecessary stress on the hard drive. And yeah, so this is the last screw. And that's the hard drive installed.